Oh, Sonic. Every time I click on any video with the blue blur as a main focus, I keep hearing things like this. Oh, Sonic, you used to be so great, but now you're on life support. And seriously, it's kinda hard not to imagine that someone wants to pull that plug. Shh, sleep now. But regardless of whether or not you've enjoyed Sonic's more recent outings, personally I still found some of them rather enjoyable. But not that one, nor that one. That one was alright. Yeah, okay, I kind of enjoyed that one. But I think there are two things that we can all still agree on. First is that the classic games are still amazing. I mean, clearly Sega thinks so too, or at least knows that we know it, because they keep trying to resell them to us again and again and again. Seriously guys, give it a break. The other thing that we can all agree on is that we want Sonic to return to his former glory. Revive that classic style. And while there have been a few that have come close, none have managed to really do it yet. And while many fans have just kinda given up, and I don't really blame them for it, I still think that many of us hold out hope. But what if I told you that Sonic has already come back? That he's already returned to form? Would you be interested? Now what if I told you he's also a girl, the color purple, and a dragon? Still interested? Well, you should be. Freedom Planet is that game we all talk about making when the topic of classic Sonic comes up. Or at least it's what we mean when we say Sonic Team just doesn't get Sonic anymore, or they need to go back to doing the old way, or any of that would-be, should-be nonsense. The easiest way to think about it is like this. Freedom Planet is to Sonic what Mighty No. 9 is to Mega Man, if Mighty No. 9 had actually lived up to the hype. It captures everything that makes the classic Sonic games amazing, while still innovating and doing its own thing. Yes, it is the true spiritual successor to arguably more than one of Sega's classic franchises, in all the best ways, and just a few of the laughably bad ones. Featuring a collective cast of, well, let's be honest with ourselves here, Sonic OCs, the likes of which primarily reside in the deepest, darkest depths of DeviantArt, Reddit, and Google Images, and other places I really only dare to venture into when I have the safe search on. The game stars Lilac, a purple dragon speedster, and our resident Sonic clone, Carol.
She's like my tail, always right behind me.
I'll just let you go ahead and guess who she's probably based off of. And Mila the dog, aka Cream, as they join forces to thwart the evil Brevin, a slimy Eggman-like monster who's actually the only other character I know that manages to make the monobrow appear threatening. Another thing I like, no, scratch that, adore, is just what a beautiful planet Freedom Planet really is. Right out the gate, this game hits the ground running with some really impressive visuals. The levels in particular really shine here. While some are clearly based on old fan favorites, it's when they do their own thing that the game really peaks. I just love the city stage. The shopping malls, fireworks, everything just pops. Toss in hidden secrets to find and branching paths to take, each level becomes more than just a speedrun challenge, though you can do that too. The characters are also fun and expressive, really helping to bring them to life. For example, I really enjoy the look on Lilac's face when you try to stop when moving at full speed. Their silly antics are a joy to behold, whether it be during the gameplay or the cutscenes. Really, if I had to nitpick anything though, I did notice that one of the characters don't quite fit in artistically. This guy, King Zhao, easily the funniest character in the game, looks like his sprite isn't finished. Like it's still 8-bit. And I only really noticed that because he's one of my favorites. The guy's hilarious.
My friends, we have been blessed with the seal of the dragon. We must heed its call and join together for the greater good.
Under my leadership.
You can't be serious.
Oh, well, scratch that. It seems that they actually fixed that in a patch while I was making this video. Well, there goes my transition. But while we're talking 8-bit, I gotta bring up an interesting trend. I'm sure that many of you have already probably noticed that among indie titles, it's become pretty popular to ape the classic 8-bit look of the NES. Now, whether that's just to invoke nostalgia, or maybe it's just because 8-bits are a bit easier to make, I really don't know. But what I do know is that this trend is what makes Freedom Planet's style all the more refreshing. Freedom Planet instead captures that classic Genesis look and feel with each level, only better. It's kinda hard to get across how though. Genesis games, the great ones at least, always had a distinct feel to them, very nitty gritty. Something that was probably unintentional, a limitation built into the Genesis itself, but whatever it was, it gave those games a unique flavor. I think serious Genesis fans probably know what I mean, but even if you don't, you just gotta know this. Freedom Planet nails that classic style, but also feels like an update. It feels cleaner, smoother. It's taking advantage of the new technology. Again, it's tough to put into words, but for those of you who get it, it's a welcome return to the 16-bit era. And how do you complement 16-bit era graphics? Well, with 16-bit era music, of course, but not really. The music is just amazing, once again capturing the feel of the Genesis without actually being limited by it. Freedom Planet's soundtrack fits each level to a T. I always try to use the soundtrack of the game I'm reviewing in the background as I ramble on, and this time is no exception. Perk up those ears and try your best to avoid humming these great tunes when you're done. Now let's get serious here for a moment and cut to the brass tacks. We, the Sonic fanbase, weren't let down by later installments because the graphics weren't up to snuff or we thought that the music was bad. Search YouTube for Sonic AMVs and you'll see that's definitely not the case. Trust me, it's safer than searching for those fan characters. Eyes overrated. Easily, what turned us off to so many of the newer generation Sonic titles was the gameplay. 3D could never truly capture that classic Sonic feel that got us all invested in the first place. And while the handhelds came close, there was just something off. Something not quite right. And that's what makes Freedom Planet so special, and genuinely worth talking about. It gets it right. It captures that Sonic spark, but while still managing to innovate. See Sonic 4? That's all we really wanted, not just more of the same. And I think it's how each of the characters play that really helped to illustrate this change-up. Lilac is the perfect example here, and the one I enjoyed playing the most. Though I hear that some more characters will release as DLC down the line, so we'll see if that still stands. But back to Lilac. While in many ways she moves, jumps, and controls like classic Sonic, gone are some of the Sonic's classic moves, like the spin dash and the basic jump, I guess. And in their place is a variety of basic attacks, a double jump that doubles as a multi-hit attack, and an awesome rocket boost ripped straight out of another classic Sega title, Rocket Knight Adventures. And this combination of the two franchises actually meld together beautifully to make Freedom Planet a really solid action platformer, capable of much deeper gameplay than, well, classic Sonic. Mostly because it's not just about the speed. Sure, the game does allow for fast-paced action and platforming, and to the game's credit, it's very easy to just mash up the enemies without missing a beat. But the option to pause or go out of your way to smack them around is pretty tempting. With the exception of these guys in the last area. They have way too much health. Plus they chase you. They all chase you. But it's the bosses where the combat really shines. All the bosses feel unique and are a fun challenge. Referencing the combat again, the different movesets really allow for different ways to tackle each fight, and are almost required to just survive. Quick tip, Lilac's rocket boost makes you invincible for a brief moment. Abuse that. With a little bit of skill, luck, and some trial and error, you can handle it. I also really love how the bosses are integrated into the world. Harking back to Sonic again, every boss in that game really boils down to just Eggman riding a different mech. Cool to be sure, and I'm not knocking those classic brawls. I have fond memories of the final battle from Sonic 2. But really, for the most part, you could technically mix and match a lot of those bosses. Put them in any stage and it'd be fine. Freedom Planet, however, feels like there's a much bigger world, because the fights are provoked from the story as well as utilize the world around them. One of my favorite fights involves you fighting against an opponent who is actually using the same power-ups in the game that you get, showing that they're not just a game mechanic, they exist in the world. That's pretty cool. Or how about the fight where your teammates actually help you? You know, like the story says that they're doing, as opposed to just sitting on the sideline because your party can only hold 3 members. Heck, there's even an achievement for letting your allies get in the final blow. I don't know, I just kinda like that, you know, having side characters that actually matter.
Enemies up ahead! Bad guy! Let's look for a switch! Plenty of enemies there!
But that being said, the characters are also kind of the biggest gripe I have with the game, along with the story itself. Now let me just get this out of the way right now, just so we're crystal clear. For all you retro Sonic fans, the ones that feel like a storyline has ruined the series, or just don't enjoy anime-esque tropes or otaku jokes, or those of you who are just here for the gameplay, rejoice. Freedom Planet gets you. Not only can you skip the cutscenes in the adventure mode, but you can just avoid the story altogether by playing the classic mode, which is just as it sounds. All the levels, bosses, and awesome gameplay, with none of the story to get in the way. The story stands out as the game's one and only glaring flaw. Now I'm not here to bash it on the story itself, as realistically, how good a story is really comes down to personal taste above all else. After all, there are plenty of other stories that have been considered good, so really, anything goes. And when you think about it, games are the only medium where you can have a not so good story and still have a great product as long as the gameplay is fun. Movies and books don't have that luxury. But still, I gotta call out Freedom Planet on the major problems with the story anyway. Though I suppose it's not really the story itself, but the characters in it. The story overall is pretty solid. I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's warring countries, space tyrants, freedom fighters, and a really neat lore that has room to be expanded upon in future installments. It's all pretty grandioso stuff, but there are some holes and the characters leave a lot to be desired. Just so much of what they do and what they say makes little to no sense and affects so little. For example, one of the bigger plot devices is that Lilac and Carol used to be a part of a group called the Red Scarves, but eventually either left or got kicked out because of something they either did or didn't do. It's very unclear, especially how they act when referring to it. That was right, that was wrong, stealing, apologies, and even murder is just thrown around. It's like I said before, these characters are, more or less, Sonic OCs, or Sonic original characters for those of you not in the know. And that's fine, I like their designs. But I get the feeling like these characters had a lot more adventures or storytelling moments that existed only between the group of friends that made them. Like maybe as a role-playing group or through an art gathering or something. But when they wrote the script for this game, they forgot that the rest of us weren't there for that. It gets confusing. Here's a great example.
I love sushi! Me too! Whoa, 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 whoa. You both like something? Is this the end of the world?
Yeah, this line doesn't really have any context. We've never actually seen them disagree or dislike anything. Oh, well, it looks like they fixed that too, taking that whole scene, or at least that line, out. So, kudos for going back and actually fixing problems with your storyline. You don't see that very often with games. Or how about this guy, Ace? He's basically Shadow's counterpart if the angst was dialed way, way up. Most of the game, he's just a whiny prick, saying the game's events don't concern him. Dude, it's your family, your country, it's your responsibility, and let's not forget, you kinda live on the planet that's in danger. I kinda feel like what's going on might have a bit to do with you. And yeah, sure, he eventually helps out, but I still think he's a prick. I just wanted to get that off my chest. I don't like him. I also gotta bring up that the dialogue is just painful to listen to. I definitely believe that the voice cast was having fun with this, but ugh. Some of these lines are just awful. You'd think that I wrote them. Jeez. Just look at this opening cutscene.
Happen! Our walls are impenetrable!
So what do you think this genuinely menacing character is going to say? My army begs to differ. I'm afraid it met with an unstoppable force. Your floor isn't.
Your floor isn't.
You know what? On second thought, writing good quips is actually pretty hard, so I take that back. But seriously, the voice acting can still be a bit cheesy and the dialogue is a bit stilted. Something more akin to the early PS1, PS2 days. But despite all that, I still enjoyed the story, for the most part, which again goes to show that there's really no accounting for taste when it comes to these kind of things. As I've mentioned in previous reviews, I can enjoy these kind of stories and characters, blemishes and all, as long as the gameplay pulls me into their world and the characters are at least likable. And the majority of them are. I know that I'm looking forward to a possible sequel and finding out more about these characters, particularly Lilac, which is a great thing. I just think that it goes to show that with enough hard work, a strong idea, and the passion to make it happen, your characters, our characters, everyone's personal characters, whether they be original or fan characters, can go on to become something more than just a concept, more than just an idea. That in this day and age, with the internet at our fingertips and millions of connections readily available, we can make our ideas leap off the page, even without some big name company pulling the strings. It's been done before, and if Freedom Planet is any proof at all, it's gonna keep happening. Because really, before this game found success, would you have really believed that a Sonic OC would actually get their own game? And that it would actually be this amazing? And yes, Freedom Planet is an amazing title worthy of your time. The graphics look great, the music is catchy, the controls are tight, and the gameplay reinvents a tried and true classic. I highly recommend it. And this goes double for any and all fans of the classic 2D Sonics, and really any fans of the 2D platformer in general. And since this game actually manages to make what is arguably its biggest flaw optional, there's really no excuse to pass this one up. So you should definitely play it. It's available on Steam and digitally on the Wii U. But if that isn't enough to fill your gaming appetite, here are some other recommendations. Since everyone watching this has probably already played all the classic Sonic titles, I'll instead point you towards Sonic Rush, an often overlooked 2D Sonic title on the DS that captures a lot of that classic feel of the Sonic franchise. It introduces Blaze the Cat before Sonic 06, take that however you will, and is the successor to the Sonic Advance series, Sonic Triple Trouble on the Game Gear. Oh yeah, we're going obscure with this one, but it's easily the best Sonic game on the system and also manages to capture a lot of that classic Sonic flavor back when the franchise was still at its best. And surprisingly, it lets you have your pick to play through the game as Sonic or Tails with level variations for both of them. And finally, Rocket Knight Adventures. While not as fast as Sonic, this title is an amazing and often overlooked action platformer on the Genesis, starring Sparkster, a possum who is a knight with a jetpack. That's just automatic win right there. Hey everyone, Spammer D again. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, be sure to like, subscribe, and do all that other, YouTube stuff. And if you didn't, well, tell me why below in the comments. I'm always looking to improve. Thanks again, and remember to pick up Freedom Planet, because it's awesome.